In the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, the atmosphere was tense. Leaders from different alien species gathered around a long, shining table made of rare crystals. They came from many worlds, each with its own culture and way of life. Some were tall and slender, while others were short and stout. Each had their unique features, yet they all shared a common goal: to discuss the rising threat of Earth. As the meeting began, a soft, gentle light filled the room, casting shadows on the faces of the council members. The head of the council, a stern-looking alien with silver skin and piercing green eyes, tapped a gavel made of dark metal, silencing the chatter. "We are here today to discuss the humans," he said, his voice echoing in the hall. "They are becoming more active in space. We must decide how to handle this." A small alien with large, expressive eyes, known as Zorak, stood up to speak. "I have traveled to Earth many times. Humans are unpredictable. They fight hard for what they want, and they are not afraid of danger." He looked around the room, hoping to catch the attention of the other leaders. "We should be careful. They have been known to surprise their enemies." The other leaders scoffed at Zorak's words. A tall alien with blue skin and 6 arms laughed loudly. "You worry too much, Zorak. Humans are weak. They have no real weapons compared to us. We have advanced technology and power. We can easily defeat them if they try to fight." Zorak shook his head. "But you don't understand. They are clever. They learn quickly. We have seen how they unite when faced with danger. Their spirit is strong, and they will not back down easily." Another leader, a 4-eyed alien with a long, snake-like body, added, "What do you suggest we do? Send them a warning? They won't listen. We should take action before they grow too powerful." As the leaders debated, an old alien named Thalos, known for its wisdom and experience, raised a hand to speak. Thalos had seen many conflicts in its long life. Its voice was calm but firm. "We cannot ignore Zorak's words. Humans are different from us. They have emotions, passions, and an ability to adapt. If we do not respect them, we could find ourselves in a war we cannot win." The room fell silent as Thalos's words sank in. Some leaders shifted in their seats, looking uneasy. The head of the council furrowed his brow, contemplating the wisdom of Thalos. "What do you propose we do, then?" he asked, his tone serious. "We should observe them closely," Thalos replied. "Let us send a small team to Earth to learn more about their plans and their strengths. Understanding them is the key. If we know their weaknesses, we can decide how to move forward." The blue-skinned alien crossed his arms. "But what if they see us as a threat? We could provoke them into attacking us first." Thalos nodded, acknowledging the concern. "That is a possibility, but it is better to know than to act blindly. We must not underestimate the humans. If we do, we may end up regretting it." As the council continued to debate, Zorak felt a mix of hope and fear. He wanted the leaders to understand that humans were not to be taken lightly. But as the discussions dragged on, he feared they would dismiss his warnings and put everyone in danger. Finally, after much argument, the head of the council made a decision. "We will send a small team to Earth. They will observe and report back. But for now, we must prepare our defenses just in case." With this decision made, the leaders felt a sense of relief, believing they had found a solution. But Zorak knew the truth. The council might be preparing, but the humans were already aware of their presence in the stars. The old warnings of danger had gone unheeded, and now a storm was brewing in the cosmos, one that could change everything. Zorak left the council chamber, his heart heavy with worry. He hoped that the humans would not have to show their true power before the council understood their strength. The warning had been given, but would anyone listen in time? The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and Zorak feared the consequences of underestimating humanity. On Earth, in a secure military base surrounded by tall trees, the atmosphere was charged with energy. Soldiers moved with purpose, preparing for an unknown threat. News of a possible alien invasion had spread like wildfire. Military leaders gathered to discuss their plan, knowing they had to be ready for anything. In the command center, a group of top military officers stood around a large screen. General Mitchell, a seasoned leader with a strong presence, pointed to a map of the stars. "Intelligence reports suggest that the Galactic Council is watching us closely," he said, his voice steady. "We must act now to protect our planet." Jake and Mia sat together on a grassy hill looking up at the night sky. The stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across a dark blanket. They loved these moments, sharing their dreams and secrets under the stars. Mia smiled brightly, her eyes sparkling with excitement. She talked about how she wanted to travel to space one day. Jake laughed and said he would go with her, even if it meant facing strange aliens. As they gazed at the sky, a bright light suddenly appeared. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. The light grew larger and brighter, shining down on them. Jake squinted his eyes, trying to understand what was happening. "Mia, do you see that?" he asked, his heart racing. Before Mia could answer, the light enveloped her. Jake reached out, but it was too late. In a blink, she vanished right before his eyes. Panic gripped Jake's heart. "Mia!" he shouted, his voice filled with fear and confusion. He stood up, looking around frantically. "Where are you?" He ran to the spot where she had been sitting, hoping she would reappear, but she was gone. Jake felt a deep sense of loss wash over him. He dropped to his knees, staring at the empty space. His mind raced with questions. Had she been taken? Was she hurt? He couldn't believe it. In a dark spaceship far away, Mia found herself in a strange, cold room. Bright lights flickered above her, and she felt scared. She looked around, trying to understand where she was. Suddenly, an alien stepped forward. He was tall and had green skin with large, round eyes. His name was Zarnok. Zarnok looked at Mia with curiosity. "Welcome, human," he said in a deep voice. "You have been chosen for a special purpose." Mia felt a chill run down her spine. She stood tall, trying to show bravery. "What do you want with me?" she demanded, her voice steady despite her fear. Zarnok explained that he needed Mia to help his species. "Humans have strong emotions," he said. "I believe these emotions can make my kind better. You will help us understand love, courage, and strength." Mia frowned, realizing she was not just a captive, but a test subject. "I won't help you," she replied firmly. Zarnok studied her, intrigued. "You are different from what I expected. You have spirit," he said almost to himself. He decided to keep her in a cell while he thought of a plan. As he walked away, Mia felt a mix of fear and determination. She refused to let Zarnok win. Back on Earth, Jake was still in shock. He couldn't believe what had just happened. He had to find Mia. He rushed home, his mind racing with ideas. He turned on his computer and searched for anything related to alien sightings or spaceships. Hours passed, and he found stories of people disappearing, but nothing helpful. Determined, Jake called his friends. They gathered in his garage, sharing their thoughts. "We need to do something," Jake said, pacing back and forth. "Mia is out there, and we can't just sit and wait." His friends nodded, feeling the weight of the situation. Jake had an idea. "What if we build a device to find her? If we can track the spaceship's energy, we might be able to locate it." His friends looked excited but worried. "Can we really do that?" one of them asked. "We have to try," Jake replied. Mia wouldn't give up on us. They worked late into the night, gathering supplies and brainstorming. Jake felt a fire in his heart. He knew he had to save Mia no matter what. Little did he know Mia was also plotting her escape, determined to find her way back home. As the night wore on, both Jake and Mia faced their challenges. One was determined to rescue his love, while the other was fighting for her freedom. The adventure was just beginning, and neither of them would back down. In the cold, metallic room of the spaceship, Mia felt both scared and angry. She had been taken from her life on Earth and brought to this strange place. As she sat on the hard bench, her mind raced with thoughts of escape. Zarnok, the alien who had captured her, was busy studying screens filled with strange symbols and images. He looked up and noticed Mia watching him. "Mia," Zarnok said, his deep voice echoing in the room, "I need you to help me understand what it means to be human." Mia crossed her arms, refusing to show fear. "I'm not your test subject. You can't just take me and expect me to help you," she replied defiantly. Zarnok raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "You humans are so full of emotions. Love, fear, joy. It is all very complex. I do not understand it. You must teach me." Mia stared at him in disbelief. "You want me to teach you emotions? You think that's easy?" Zarnok leaned closer, his large eyes studying her closely. "Yes, it is not easy for me. I am curious. I have studied your species for years, but there is something about your feelings that I cannot grasp." Mia felt a strange mixture of pity and anger towards him. "You don't understand. That's not surprising. You can't just take someone and expect them to share their feelings," she said sharply. Zarnok stepped back, surprised by her words. He had expected her to be scared and submissive, but she was fierce. He started to feel confused. "Why are you not afraid of me?" he asked. Most beings tremble before my power. I'm not afraid of you, Mia replied, her voice steady. You may be strong, but you can't control my feelings. That's something you'll never understand. Zarnok felt a shift within him. He had always thought of himself as powerful, but here was this small human challenging him. It was new and unsettling. He began to question his own actions. Why had he thought capturing a human would be simple? Days passed, and Zarnok continued his experiments. He watched Mia closely, trying to learn about her emotions. He asked her questions about love and friendship, but Mia only shared what she wanted. She talked about her family, her dreams, and the joy of being with Jake. Zarnok listened intently, taking notes. But why does love matter so much to you? He asked one day. It seems like a weakness. Mia shook her head. Love is not a weakness. It makes us strong. It gives us hope and courage. It connects us to each other. Zarnok frowned, trying to understand. If love is so powerful, then why did you fight back? You could have submitted to me. Mia sighed. Realizing Zarnok's confusion ran deeper than she thought. Because I love Jake. I would do anything to protect him, even if it means standing up to you. For the first time, Zarnok felt a strange sensation in his chest. He wondered if he was wrong about humans. Perhaps they were not just simple creatures to be controlled. They had a depth he could not comprehend. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Jake was growing more desperate. He and his friends were working day and night to finish their device. They studied blueprints of technology they had never seen before, hoping to find a way to trace Mia's location. Jake was determined to find her, and his friends felt his passion. They spent hours discussing plans, sharing ideas, and motivating each other. As they worked, Jake often thought of Mia and how strong she was. He knew she would never give up, and that thought fueled his own determination. We will get you back, Mia, he whispered to himself, vowing to do whatever it took. Back in the spaceship, Zarnok continued to learn from Mia. He began to realize that emotions were not just for humans. They were a universal truth that connected all beings. He was changing, but he didn't know it yet. The confusion in Zarnok's mind grew. He had come to capture Mia, but now he found himself questioning everything he thought he knew about strength, love, and humanity. As he observed Mia's fierce spirit, he began to wonder if he had made a terrible mistake. Jake stood in his garage, surrounded by his friends. The air was thick with determination as they worked together on their plan to rescue Mia. They had spent days building a device that could track the energy of the alien spaceship. Okay, everyone, are we ready? Jake asked, his heart pounding with excitement and fear. Yes, his friends shouted in unison. They had become a team, united by the same goal to bring Mia back home. The gadget was a mix of old parts and new ideas. Jake had learned how to connect wires and use tools, and his friends helped him with the technical details. Together, they had created a device that could detect the unique energy signature of Zarnok's ship. Jake felt a rush of hope as he held the device in his hands. Let's go find Mia, he said, leading the way. With the device in hand, they drove to the spot where Mia had disappeared. The area was quiet, with only the sound of crickets filling the night air. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. What if they didn't find her? What if it was too late? He shook off the thoughts and focused on the task ahead. Turn it on, one of his friends shouted. Jake pressed the button and the device hummed to life. Lights flickered, and a screen displayed a blinking dot. That's it! We're getting a signal! Jake exclaimed, his voice filled with excitement. The dot moved, indicating the direction of the spaceship. As they followed the signal, they arrived at a hidden area in the woods. The air felt different here, heavy with an unknown energy. Jake's heart raced as he spotted a strange shape in the distance. There it is! The spaceship, he whispered, pointing to the large craft partially hidden by trees. The group approached cautiously, their eyes wide with wonder and fear. The ship was unlike anything they had ever seen. It glowed softly and hummed with power. How do we get inside? One friend asked, looking at the tall metal door. Jake scanned the area, searching for a way in. There must be a control panel somewhere, he said, determined to find a way to rescue Mia. They searched the perimeter and finally discovered a small entrance at the back of the ship. Let's go, Jake urged. They squeezed through the opening and found themselves in a dark hallway. The walls were cold and smooth, and strange sounds echoed around them. The group moved quietly, their hearts pounding with anticipation. Suddenly, they heard voices ahead. We have to be careful, Jake warned. They crept closer, peering around a corner. To their surprise, they saw Zarnok standing near a control panel, his back turned to them. Mia was in a nearby room, looking strong and defiant. "Jake," Mia called softly when she saw him. Jake's heart soared at the sound of her voice. "I'm here, Mia! We're going to get you out." Jake signaled to his friends to stay quiet. They watched as Zarnok pressed buttons on the control panel, studying the information displayed on the screens. Mia seized the moment, her eyes shining with determination. "Zarnok, you can't keep me here! I'm not your prisoner!" she shouted, surprising both Jake and Zarnok. Zarnok turned, startled. "You should not speak to me like that, human," he replied, his voice low. But there was a hint of confusion in his eyes. This was Jake's chance. He nodded to his friends, and they moved forward, rushing towards Zarnok. "Get away from her!" Jake shouted, filled with adrenaline. Zarnok turned fully, his eyes widening in surprise. "You!" he exclaimed, realizing Jake had come for Mia. But before he could react, Jake and his friends charged at him. They were nervous, but their determination pushed them forward. In the chaos, Mia took advantage of the distraction. She quickly dashed toward Jake, and they embraced tightly. "I knew you would come," she said, tears of relief in her eyes. But Zarnok was not done. He raised his arm, ready to stop them. "You cannot escape," he yelled. But instead of fear, Mia felt strength. "We can and we will," she shouted back. As they prepared to flee, Zarnok hesitated. For the first time, he felt a conflict within himself. Watching Jake and Mia together made him question everything he had done. He realized that love and determination were more powerful than any strength he possessed. In that moment of confusion, Jake, Mia, and their friends dashed through the hallway, racing toward the exit. They could hear Zarnok's voice behind them, but it didn't matter. They were free, and they would fight for each other. As Jake, Mia, and their friends raced through the spaceship, Zarnok stood frozen, his mind in turmoil. He had always seen strength as power and control, but now he was beginning to see a different truth. The way Mia stood up to him, filled with courage and love, shook him to his core. For the first time, he questioned his actions and the purpose of his mission. The group reached the exit, but Jake turned back for a moment. "Zarnok!" he called, his voice echoing through the hallway. "You don't have to do this. You can choose to change." Zarnok's heart raced. No one had ever spoken to him like that. He felt a strange mix of anger and confusion. "You are just a human," he shouted back. "What do you know of strength?" "I know that true strength comes from love and friendship," Jake replied, his voice steady. "You may be powerful, but that doesn't mean you are strong." Zarnok felt a flicker of something deep inside him. He had spent years trying to become the most powerful being in the galaxy, but what had it brought him? Loneliness and confusion. He glanced at Mia, who was looking back at him with determination and defiance. "Let them go, Zarnok," Mia said firmly. "You don't need to capture us. You can learn from us instead. You can find strength in understanding and connection." Zarnok felt torn. His instincts told him to fight, to assert his power, but the words of these humans made him think. He thought about the many lonely years he had spent in his ship, focused on power and control, and felt a deep sadness. What good was power if he could not understand the beings he wanted to conquer? Suddenly, Zarnok's internal battle reached a breaking point. He took a deep breath and said no. "I will not keep you here anymore." Jake and Mia exchanged surprised looks. "What?" Jake asked, his voice filled with hope. "You mean it? I will let you go," Zarnok said, his voice softer now. "But first, I want to understand. Teach me about love and courage. I want to know what makes you strong." Mia's heart swelled with unexpected compassion. "Zarnok, it's not too late for you. You can choose to change." "You don't have to be alone," she replied, stepping closer to him. Zarnok looked into her eyes, and for the first time he felt something warm inside. He was tired of being alone. Perhaps these humans could help him find a new path. "Very well," Zarnok said slowly. "You may leave, but I want to learn from you. I will not be your enemy anymore." Jake and Mia felt a rush of relief. "Thank you, Zarnok," Jake said. "We can help you, but it will take time. It won't be easy." Zarnok nodded. "I am willing to try. I wish to learn about emotions, about love, and about what it means to be connected." As the group moved toward the exit, they felt a sense of hope. They were no longer just a captive and a captor. They were becoming something new together. Outside, the night sky was bright, filled with stars twinkling like promises of a better future. "Let's go home," Mia said, looking at Jake with a smile. Jake squeezed her hand, feeling grateful that she was safe. Before they left the spaceship, Zarnok spoke up one last time.
Wait!
If you want, I can help you return to Earth. I can pilot this ship. Jake looked at Mia, and they both nodded. That would be great, Mia said, feeling excited. Zarnok led them back inside the ship, feeling more hopeful than ever. He had made a choice to change, to learn, and to grow. As they boarded the spaceship, Jake and Mia realized that this journey was not just about escaping, but about creating new connections. The ship hummed to life, and Zarnok guided them through the controls. He felt nervous but determined. With each passing moment, he understood a little more about what it meant to be a friend. As the ship soared into the sky, Zarnok looked at the stars, feeling a sense of belonging he had never known. Together, they were setting off on a new adventure, one filled with friendship, love, and understanding. Zarnok was ready to learn from his new friends, and Mia and Jake were eager to teach him. The universe was vast, and their journey had just begun. The spaceship glided through the starry sky, its engines humming softly. Jake and Mia sat side by side, their hands intertwined, while Zarnok piloted the craft with a newfound sense of purpose. They were headed back to Earth, but the journey felt different now. It was not just about escaping, it was about forging a new friendship. As they traveled, Mia looked at Zarnok, who was focused on the controls. "You're doing great," she encouraged, smiling. Zarnok glanced at her, surprised by her warmth. He had always expected fear or anger from others, but here was Mia, offering support. It filled him with a strange sense of joy. "Thank you," Zarnok replied, his voice steady. "I am learning. This is different from what I am used to." Jake leaned forward, excitement in his voice. "What do you think about Earth?" "It's beautiful, right? You'll love it there." Zarnok nodded slowly. "I have seen many worlds, but your planet seems special. I wish to understand what makes it so important to you." Mia shared stories about Earth, painting vivid pictures of green forests, blue oceans, and golden sunsets. Zarnok listened intently, fascinated by the way she spoke about her home. "I want to see these places," he said. "I want to feel the grass under my feet and see the stars from your world." Hours passed as they flew through the galaxy. The stars outside the window sparkled like diamonds, and for the first time, Zarnok felt at peace. He was no longer a lonely conqueror, he was becoming part of something bigger. The thought made him smile. Finally, the ship approached Earth's atmosphere. Jake's heart raced as he glanced at Mia. "We're almost home," he exclaimed. She squeezed his hand, filled with excitement and joy. Zarnok guided the ship down, carefully navigating through the clouds. The bright blue of the Earth came into view, and Jake's eyes widened. "Look, there it is!" he shouted, pointing at the beautiful planet below. As they descended, Zarnok felt a mix of anxiety and hope. What would Earth be like? Would people accept him? He had spent so long being seen as a threat now, he wanted to be a friend. The spaceship landed smoothly in a small clearing near Jake's house. The sun was setting, casting warm, golden light across the landscape. Mia and Jake looked at each other, their hearts full of happiness. "We made it!" Mia cheered, jumping out of the ship. Zarnok followed, taking his first steps on Earth. The grass felt soft beneath his feet, and the air smelled fresh and sweet. He looked around, amazed by the beauty surrounding him. "This is wonderful," he said, his voice filled with awe. Jake and Mia stood beside him, smiling. "Welcome to Earth, Zarnok," Jake said. "This is your new home now." But Zarnok's expression turned serious. "I hope the people here will accept me. I was once a captor, and now I wish to be a friend." Mia stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on his arm. "You have already changed, Zarnok. You chose to let us go and to learn. That shows strength." Just then, Jake's friends began to arrive. They had been waiting for news about Mia. When they saw Jake and Mia stepping out of the spaceship with Zarnok, their eyes widened in shock. "What's going on?" one friend asked, confused. Mia took a deep breath. "Everyone, this is Zarnok. He's not our enemy anymore. He wants to be our friend." Zarnok stood tall, trying to appear confident despite his nerves. "I am here to learn from you, to understand your world," he said, his voice strong. The friends exchanged uncertain glances, but Jake stepped forward. "Give him a chance, everyone. He saved Mia and showed us that he can change." One by one, the friends nodded, slowly accepting Zarnok. They began to introduce themselves, and soon laughter filled the air. Zarnok listened and watched, fascinated by the way humans connected with each other. He felt a warmth in his chest, realizing that he was no longer alone. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Zarnok knew this was the beginning of something new. He had found friends, and they would teach him about love, courage, and what it truly meant to be strong. Together, they walked into the future, ready to explore not just Earth, but the bonds that connected them all. Zarnok had come to capture a human, but instead he found a family, and that was the greatest adventure of all.